Gotta aim for the top like, hold up. Yeah, I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Blowing the smoke, but I know when the dust settles that I'm in my element, it's evident that there's levels to the game. All of those dark nights I got then, breaking my back to make it out, got me feeling like rain. I ain't never need your help, I know you wishing me well. A penny for your thoughts, but seeing no change. I snap for the sun like Diddy, the riches got a mad ass son, I'm like Billy. I ain't never switch up, whole team with me, putting on for my city like OAGZ. Set the pace as long as you finish, consumers find a way inside your business. Babble if they try to dabble in it and they hate the fact that they may have to witness. You try to aim for the top like this and you're in your element with a fire like this, and they hoping you fall and they praying you miss, but it's all in the risk. I got you with the switch, you know I'm in the zone. Give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. Foot on the gas, 155 on the road. You could be a friend of me, an enemy. Keep that same old energy, cause I know.
Hello and welcome to the Printing Money Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Cochran. We've got another great week of Week 4 NFL action coming in here for you guys, and I can't wait to get to it. But first, I've got a vent about last week. I don't know what you want. You want the good? You want the bad? Or you want the let's just go with the frickin' ugly. The Dallas Cowboys were disgusting on Sunday. Mike McCarthy, you are one of the worst head coaches I've ever seen. If not for Brandon Staley, you would take this mantle in a heartbeat. We should give you a trophy. It is amazing what you managed to produce or not produce on a football field. 5 red zone trips, 1 touchdown against the Arizona Cardinals? You've got to be kidding me. It was one of the worst 12.5-point favorites I've ever seen. It was a complete overlook. They didn't even show up, and it's 100% on the coach. I mean, why are you running the football on first and second down from 10 yards out 4 frickin' drives in a row? I don't understand. First and goal from the 9, run, lose 2 yards, run, gain 2 yards, throw, incomplete. How many times in a row do you have to do that before you change the play calls? And Dak Prescott's getting paid like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, right? Dak Prescott's taking up a ton of Dallas Cowboys cap space, and he can't change a play call? He can't go up to the line and go, yeah, run doesn't make sense, and check and change a play call? He doesn't have the ability to do that? Because every other quarterback can do that. Hell, C.J. Stroud's allowed to do that. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever why Dak Prescott is standing here just handing the ball off for a 2-yard loss to a backup running back with 3 offensive linemen missing while your team is down by 2 scores. Who thinks this shit up? Honestly, Jerry, I know you have to have a named coach. This is your thing. You got to have a big name to coach the Dallas Cowboys. No, you need someone that knows what the fuck they're doing. And Mike McCarthy, you're not it. Okay, that was the ugly. Let's get to the bad. The bad happened on Monday Night Football, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just opened the door and let the Philadelphia Eagles do almost whatever they wanted, but not in the way that you would think. See, we weren't exactly wrong. It was 3-3. It was a close game. Philly's offense was struggling like they kind of have all season. And then Mike Evans just decided he forgot how to catch footballs, dropping touchdowns. He had 5 receptions on 10 targets for his lowest yard total in the last 8 games he's played in going back to last season. Dropped 1 touchdown and 2 third-down passes. I get it. Baker Mayfield didn't look good. I got it. But the Tampa Bay defense absolutely frickin' showed up, okay? They had the early 4th and 2 stop. They got multiple interceptions off Jalen Hurts. They did their job. And Mike Evans, you got paid, so why aren't you catching the football? I have to talk about the Chargers. I get it. They won. I got it. They pulled it off. Congratulations. You beat the 0-3 Vikings. Who in the hell is deciding to go for it with your team up by 4 with 1:52 on the clock while the other team only has 2 timeouts from your own side of the field? Brandon Staley, I'm just going to say this every week until it finally happens. Can someone fire Brandon Staley? Would be great. Do you know that Justin Herbert is 20-9 as a starting quarterback in the NFL when the San Diego Chargers give up less than 28 points? So if Los Angeles gives up less than 28 points, he wins literally double the amount that he loses. Yet his overall record is 25-26 because they literally give up 28 points every fucking week. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. There's the bad and the ugly. And quite frankly, it was kind of an ugly week for us. We did okay. We certainly picked a lot of lines that were good, but some big chalk favorites absolutely let us down. But I've got all your picks here for week 4, and I figure we'll just dive in to what everyone's trying to figure out, which is tomorrow night, are the Detroit Lions going to go into Green Bay and defeat the Green Bay Packers? And the answer is yes. Yes, they are. Jordan Love's just not ready for this defense, and Jordan Love showed in many ways how he was not ready for the Saints defense last weekend. It's a division game. Lions are fired up right now. Green Bay's all kinds of banged up still. I like the Lions -2 here. Now, is it the best bet of the week? No. The best bet of the week is you can find the Packers +7.5, +8. Right now I'm looking at it. You can get them +7.5 in 8 books right now. So, tease them through a touchdown. It's a division game. I think it's close. Aaron Jones may play. I think they're okay. But if you ask me if I trust Jared Goff or Jordan Love, I still trust Jared Goff. And I trust the Lions defense here. And I get that Green Bay had a nice comeback last week and they looked okay. But Love missed very easy throws, wide open play calls. There were some interesting decisions by LaFleur that weren't making a lot of sense. I get it. He knows how to make sure the game script is easy for Love to run. He sets him up to be successful all the time. But why were you going for 2 there? Like, just why? Why'd you decide not to kick a field goal, but then take a field goal? Just weird calls that were being made in that game. A lot of throws being missed. He still doesn't have a exceptional recipe of skill players, right? It's not like we're throwing in key ingredients here and guys that you know he can go to on third down. Now, of course, Aaron Jones being back is going to help that. But if Jones doesn't play, you've got guys like Romeo Doubs who are great players, but him and Reed don't always come up with the ball on those big throws. And he doesn't always put it where he needs to put it, and he puts it behind people still. Look, I think he looks better than most people thought he was going to look. But I don't think he's ready for this game. Primetime, spotlight, short week, big high for Detroit. You could say what you want about how they played against Atlanta, but Desmond Ridder is terrible. Jordan Love's better than Desmond Ridder. I just don't know if he's good enough to win this game. I think he's absolutely good enough to win it close. I think it's the Lions' year. I've got the Lions set up to win this division. I bet the Lions to win this division. To do that, they need to win this football game. So I'll be going with the Lions here. I will also be going with Green Bay on the tease. I think the tease is the easier bet. I'm going to have that in quite a few tickets this week for sure. Over to London, 6:30 a.m. on October 1st, and we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Trevor Lawrence disaster that's currently happening, playing against what I think is probably the worst starting quarterback in football in Desmond Ridder. And that didn't matter until last week. We hadn't seen it. I'm the one that's been riding Atlanta. I'm the one that's been selling Atlanta to everybody, right? But when he has to make throws, he can't. And if you can't get Bijan Robinson going, he has to make throws. And I just don't think he can do that. And the fact of the matter is, Jacksonville got exploited last week by C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is a much better quarterback, even in his very limited action, right? 3 regular season games, a couple preseason starts. He's a much better quarterback than Desmond Ridder. He just is. He's one of 2 quarterbacks right now in the NFL that have not thrown an interception this year. It's him and Justin Herbert, guys. He's putting up a ton of yards every which way and the other. He's got some real playmakers on that team. Their issue is they have a secondary that is ravaged. That's the Houston Texans' issue. Okay? Not that they don't have a quarterback or an offense. They have an offense. I get that Jacksonville got torched by them, but that's not what Atlanta's going to look like. And Trevor Lawrence cannot play this bad every single week. He can't. Like, it just, if you go back and I rewatched most of that game, he's just a little bit off. He's just missing stuff. But the fact is, they got so much talent on that offense. At some point, they're going to connect the dots here, guys. You've got Calvin Ridley. You've got Travis Etienne. You've got just really good playmakers in every single spot. Okay, they still have Christian Kirk. They've got Evan Ingram, who's a top 10 tight end. There's no way that he can just continue to play this bad every week. And I think Atlanta's offense is going to put the team in enough bad spots, field position-wise, to where Jacksonville has a lot of opportunities to get the game script to match what they're trying to do this week. I don't think 3's enough. The record for favorites when traveling internationally is astronomical. They win over 60% of the time. Jacksonville's just a lock this week. You have to take this number, and I got to be honest, I don't love it. Okay, and I don't love a lot of what I'm going to tell you to take this week. This week is more about models, value, numbers, and stats that just have to be bet because that's how it works, and much less about me actually liking the pick and being able to sit here and back it and know for a fact it's going to win, which is what I was doing the last couple of weeks. I don't love this. I bet it, and when I bet it, I just kind of shook my head and went, doesn't matter, I have to do this. So I get it. If I'm saying it and you're like, I can't, then don't. You know what I mean? Then don't. But you're going to be in that spot a lot this week. There's not a lot of lines this week that feel comfortable. But that doesn't mean they're not plus advantage expected value plays. We're going to go on to Buffalo, New York, and they're hosting everyone's favorite team right now, the Miami Dolphins, who dropped 70. Yeah, 70 against Denver, who I guess I'm just wrong. It's obvious at this point. When you're wrong, you're wrong. You just might as well say you're wrong. The Denver Broncos defense is horrible. I thought the problem with the Broncos was Russell Wilson. The problem with the Broncos is the Denver Broncos defense. They're terrible. They're just absolutely terrible. They gave up the 21-3 collapse to the Commanders. They let Jimmy G look efficient week 1. Then they roll into Miami and they drop 70. They're getting ran on by everyone. They're getting thrown on by everyone, including the backups. I mean, it looked like I was playing Madden on a beginner mode level, and there was no defense on the field. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I have never seen a team struggle so much to stop the run. It's crazy, and that's after I watched the Cardinals run all over the Cowboys, and they still had a better run defense than Denver. It's bad, but it's not Buffalo, and the Buffalo Bills are a real football team, and the Buffalo Bills have Josh Allen. The Buffalo Bills have the best pass rush that Tua is going to see all year. He's not been pressured very much at all. He's going to get some pressure in his face in this game. I don't think it's going to matter. Josh Allen historically doesn't really win these games. He doesn't. He very much struggles in these games, guys. He struggled against Miami last year. Despite having 40 more attempts on offense than Miami, they lost that game. He struggled in the big game against Cincinnati in the playoffs last year. Josh Allen's MO is that he is the most gifted quarterback physically in the NFL. Mentally, he struggles to put it together. He should be by far easily the second best quarterback besides Mahomes. I still think he is, but it's not by nearly the margin it probably should be. And he beats up on bad teams like you saw him do the last 2 weeks and just torches them to the ground. And when he gets into a game that's close and physical and divisional and the weather's a factor and it gets in his head and it's a one-possession game, he makes mistakes. That's what he does. And I think he makes enough mistakes this week against the Miami Dolphins, who are just on a roller coaster riding high, where Tua looks invincible, where Mike McDaniels has put a scheme together that might be better than Kyle Shanahan's scheme that's got a 7th-round pick looking like Tom Brady. The Miami Dolphins are going to win this football game. I really believe that, and I don't think that I've bought into the hype like everybody else. I don't think it has anything to do with 70. I don't think there's any way they score 70. I actually kind of like the under in this game, under 53.5. I think the Bills collapse, and that's why Miami wins. And of course, by collapse, do I mean the Bills look terrible? No, the Bills are probably a top 5 team in the NFL still. These are the moments that they don't shine in. And quite frankly, as a Josh Allen fan, I hope that I'm wrong. I hope he shows up on Sunday and finally does in this football game what everyone wants him to do, okay? But that's not what stats say. That's not what history says. That's not what he's done in the past, and that's not how I bet. So I'm going to bet with the team that just makes fundamentally way less mistakes and puts their team in a position to win. And they've beaten Buffalo very recently with the same exact personnel. And I think they beat them again. I don't think Buffalo has an answer to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I don't. So I like Miami here. I love Miami on the teaser here. You just take them to 8.5 and you let it go. You can find Miami right now at 1, 2, 3, at 6 books at 3 and get them up to 9. I think you have to take Miami. You can't take Buffalo here. I don't have enough faith in Buffalo here. And I get that you could say Miami's ready for a letdown, and maybe they are. But so is Buffalo. And the fact of the matter is they let down more than their opponents in these games. We went from the high of the highs, Miami and Buffalo, and instead we're going to have to go on down to Carolina, where the Minnesota Vikings and Kirk Cousins battle what I think is going to be Bryce Young, but they really haven't ruled on it yet. It could still be the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, in what is just a terrible football game, honestly, between two really bad football teams. The line opened at 3, guys. It's at 3.5 right now, and Kirk Cousins is getting a ton of money poured in on him. And I don't hate it. I like Minnesota in this game, but quite frankly, I don't like either one of these teams enough to put my money on this game. I'm just avoiding this game. I don't think there's a lot to talk about here. You've got two really bad football teams, one that fails to score points at Carolina, one that fails to stop offenses in Minnesota. And I think at the end of the day, Minnesota just outscores them based on the fact that Carolina just can't really seem to put it together. But I don't like that enough to bet it. I don't. The only bet I would make in this game is Carolina plus 9.5, and I got to be honest, I don't even like that. There's just better games. Just move on. I won't even call this a spectator sport. I don't think anyone really wants to watch it. I mean, it's just bad football. And there's a lot of really good games this week. So let's go to Chicago in what is got to be the worst game of this week, where they host the Denver Broncos. I got to be honest here. I liked Denver on Sunday night at minus 2.5. I get it. They just lost. They allowed 70 points. I got it. Chicago got blown out by the Chiefs, too, and Chicago's been getting blown out by everyone, and Chicago has no defense. And I still, despite what I watched Denver do, I still think Chicago has a high school defense that is probably worse. They certainly have a worse quarterback right now in Justin Fields, who can't even get along with his coaching staff. I just think that the Denver Broncos are the better coached, more talented football team. I don't think they've shown it. I don't think we've seen it. But if you held a gun to my head right now and asked me who to bet, I'm going to bet the Denver Broncos at 2.5. Unfortunately, the line moved to 3.5, and now I don't like anything. So let's just see what happens. If you can get Denver back under a field goal, you take it. I don't trust anyone in this football game. Why would you? They've done nothing to show us they're trustworthy. We're going to move on over to Cleveland, where we finally get to a lock it in. And yes, my lock it ins have not been performing so well lately, although we've been winning every week. Lock it ins have been a little rocky, to say the least. A little bit of bad luck, honestly, on some of them, but not exactly going as well as we'd hoped. But I like Cleveland here. And mainly I like Cleveland for the same reasons that I liked the Colts last week, towards the end of the week. And I had 0 bets on Baltimore. Originally, I had said in the podcast we were going to go plus 14 Colts, Baltimore money line. I actually only went basically plus 14 Colts because Baltimore's just hurt, and they're hurt bad. Okay, they're now down 3 running backs. Justice Hill didn't play last week. KJ Dobbins, an ACL injury. Gus Edwards got hurt again. Even if one of those guys plays, at what level? Lamar is not looking like the Lamar we want him to look like. He's looking like the Lamar he normally looks like. We've got 7 defensive starters missing for the Ravens. They are riddled with injuries. Meanwhile, Deshaun Watson finally had a game where he looked like Deshaun Watson against a Mike Vrabel defense. And that defensive line of Cleveland is playing amazing. If you're going to give me that with less than a field goal, I'm going to take it. I'm just going to take it here. Minus 2.5, Cleveland Browns. Don't overthink this. If Baltimore was healthy, I'd be telling you a much different story. But Cleveland's at home. Cleveland's healthy. Cleveland looks poised to win the division. If Joe Burrow can't get right, I think Cleveland takes advantage here. I think Lamar has a rough day. We've got the Houston Texans playing host to the Pittsburgh Steelers. C.J. Stroud is flying high, Offensive Rookie of the Year leader. You've got Pittsburgh coming out of Vegas after a big win. Sunday Night Football, planes breaking down in Kansas City. You got people making tweets and jokes about having Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce pick them up and take them back to Pittsburgh in their convertible. And I think that's all well and fine, but the fact is, did you watch the Raiders game? Because I watched the Raiders game. And say what you want about the Las Vegas Raiders, but that loss is way more about how bad Jimmy Garoppolo played and way less about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everything I said about that game happened, guys. Everything. Okay? I get it. We took the Raiders to win. We did not lock it in. That was my fault. I got it. But everything that was said about that game happened. Pittsburgh's offense still looks completely inept. They're not going to be able to look inept on the road in Houston, where Stroud's put up points every single week. I don't like Mike Tomlin in this spot as a favorite on the road with Kenny Pickett in this offense as his quarterback. I don't, and I get it. C.J. Stroud hasn't thrown a pick all year, and that probably changes this week against Pittsburgh. Yeah, it probably does. He's not been hit by T.J. Watt yet, and that's probably going to be a problem for him. I bet in this. I don't care, because I just don't think Pittsburgh's turning those into points. I don't. They shouldn't have beat Cleveland. They were lucky to do that. They were kind of lucky to beat the Raiders despite blowing them out. This is not a complete football team in any way, shape, or form. And the way that you hurt the Houston Texans, like I said earlier in this show, is through the air. But Kenny Pickett doesn't hurt anyone through the air. Okay? So they're banged up on the back end. That doesn't mean Najee Harris is going to be able to get going. I like Houston here. I like them enough to lock it in. I'm locking in a bet on the Houston Texans. I did not think I was going to say that this year. I'm in. I'm on Houston. I've seen something in this team the last few weeks, and I think they're actually better than people give them credit for, mainly because C.J. Stroud's maturity level is just much higher than people are going to give him credit for. And you're going to see that on display this week against Pittsburgh. You've got the Los Angeles Rams fresh off what was easily their worst game on Monday Night Football, although they did cover our bets. Go Rams on the teasers. Going into Indianapolis, and the team that I think is just much better than anyone gave them credit for. Pros, Joes, and everyone in between. Hell, I don't know if Indy gave themselves credit for this team. I don't. You've got just a very interesting scenario. We don't know if AR5 is going to play. I don't know if that actually hurts or helps them. I actually believe that Gardner Minshew is the best backup quarterback in football right now. And I think that he actually, because of his ability to not be rattled by Aaron Donald, his ability to not be rattled by Sean McVay's schemes, gives them almost a better chance to win. I'm not saying he's more talented than AR5. I get it. AR5 can get out of the pocket. He can run. He can scramble. He can create and do things that Minshew's not going to do. I got that. We're all over that. He's got the bigger arm, the whole thing. He doesn't have the mental maturity to play at an NFL level against Sean McVay. I actually think the backup quarterback helps here. If you think that AR5 is going to get cleared, then I think you wait to bet this game because I actually think the Colts line will go down. It's at -1 right now in most books, -1.5 in a few. And if AR5 is cleared, you may get this to 2. You may even get it to 3, although I doubt that happens. I like the Rams. I do. I think the Rams are just much better than people give them credit for. In a game where everything is close and tight and under a field goal, I want the better coach and the better quarterback. Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford are the two most important people on this football field, not named Aaron Donald. So that means the Rams have the 3 most important people on this football field this week in a game where the Colts are favored by 1. I'll take the 1. I'll tease it and take the 7. The Rams bounce back and look pretty good here against the Colts. On down to the New Orleans Saints playing host to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We got Derek Carr or Jameis Winston? How many runs is Taysom Hill going to have? I don't know because I don't know who the quarterback is for the New Orleans Saints this week. And because I don't know, that makes this game incredibly hard to predict. Here's what I do know. I know that Alvin Kamara's back, and I get it. Tampa Bay plays the run well, but this is the best receiving running back they're going to see all year. And that receiving running back helps no matter who the quarterback is for the Saints open this offense. And I get that Tampa Bay played Philly last week. I got it. But Philly still doesn't look like Philly, and I'm still not bought in on Philly. And I'm telling you right now, the best defense they've played this year will be the New Orleans Saints. Right now, the Saints are playing better defensive football than the Philadelphia Eagles. If you don't like that, you're not watching football. They just are. The Eagles weren't out there stopping Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was stopping themselves. That's what was happening. Okay? The Eagles weren't stopping the Vikings when they climbed back in after going out to a 24-7 lead. Okay? The Eagles weren't stopping Mac Jones. It's Mac Jones. The Eagles don't look like the Eagles from last year. They're not turning the ball over nearly as much on the defensive side. They're not getting nearly as much pressure on the quarterback. They're not just completely impenetrable by the run. These are not things that Philly is doing. Okay? So the best defense currently that they're going to play against is the Saints, and the Saints are at home and Philly was on the road. This game is always close. Historically, this game is always close. I think the Saints win this game. I want this locked in. I don't think Baker does enough to get this team where they need to be this week. I think Baker really, truly struggles in this game. And I don't even think Baker struggled that much on Monday night. I think Mike Evans struggled, but I think he struggles in this game. And I think they really struggle to run the ball. I think Kamara's enough to make a difference here. If Derek Carr plays, I think this line goes even further. You're going to get this line down to 3.5 where it already is some places, or 4. So you might as well get it now. Lock it in. I think we're safe here, guys. I don't think Tampa Bay can do enough to win this football game. You've got the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Washington Commanders. And I think you guys know what I'm going to say here because I've been saying it this whole time, and I'm not going to stop. I don't care if they covered. I don't like what I saw. I'm not a results-orientated sports bettor. This is not a results-orientated podcast. This is about making decisions and then watching with your eyes and seeing if they were right. Okay, that's what it's about. And then sometimes you lose despite being right. I'm okay with that. I can live with that. Okay, what I can't live with is continuing to put my money on favorites that the public overvalues based on past history and previous success that clearly isn't here this year. And this Eagles team does not look like the Eagles that went to the Super Bowl last year. They don't. They just don't. They also have a really tough time playing against Washington. In fact, you remember last year when Washington just outright beat them? Yeah, they were close to the same line of favorite they are right now, 8.5. 8.5 in a division game for a team that everyone wants to be a top 3 football team that I'm struggling to rank in the top 10. No. No, 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 no. You get the Commanders, you go get them now. You tease this line to 14.5, and you hold on tight because I'm sure the Commanders will scare the shit out of us. They're a bad football team, but the fact is they will probably backdoor cover. They just probably will. You can't lay more than the touchdown with this team. You can't lay more than the touchdown with the Eagles right now. You just can't. Don't. If you're that scared about betting the Commanders, then watch the game. I'm sure it'll be a great game. Live bet the game if you think the pace is going your way. But don't lay 8.5. This number should be like 5. And the only reason they're making it 8.5 is because Philly just played on prime time and slaughtered the Bucs, according to what fans saw, public saw, what the majority saw, and they know they can screw you some more. That's all they're doing here, guys. Don't bet Philly here. Please don't. I don't care if they cover. They cover, you want to come to the comments and say a bunch of mean stuff about how much I suck, that's fine. Don't bet Philly here. It's not a good bet. It's not. It's just a bad line. I'd say it differently if it was 6.5, 6, 5.5, 5, maybe. You're not taking Philly over a touchdown here. Don't do it. All right, we got the Tennessee Titans playing host to the Cincinnati Bengals. They are currently getting 2.5 points. You guys know how I feel about Mike Vrabel at home as a dog. The best coach, essentially, in the history of the NFL. You have a Bengals team that still doesn't look right. I don't care if they beat the Rams. That doesn't look like Joe Burrow. He looked okay. He looked fine. I'm not going to bet either one of these teams straight. I should bet Tennessee, honestly, plus 2.5. They cover here just historically so frickin' much with this regime of Tannehill, Vrabel, Henry. They just cover here. They do. But the offense looks so inept. 2 weeks in a row now, really. And Tannehill looks so bad that I can't do it. I'm going to take them with 8.5, and I'm going to take that with a big smile on my face. So I would tease the Tennessee Titans to 8.5 here. I would let pretty much everything else go. If you want to play the under 47.5, I think that's also a good bet on a teaser. Yeah, other than that, there's not a lot here. We're going to LA, Los Angeles, the city of angels, where the Chargers are going to play host to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, it's interesting that I say that because I guarantee you the Raiders have more fans at this game than the Chargers. The Chargers are not going to feel like this is a home game. They never do. Okay? And the line right now opened at 6, and it dropped to 5.5, with 82% of the money coming in on the Raiders so far, because the pros are hammering the Raiders, just like we did last week. And I get it. It didn't work, but you're not going to veer away from it now. The Chargers never beat the Raiders by more than the field goal. Ever. Like, literally, hardly ever. You're going to give me 6? I can still get 6 right now. 5.5 is what I got most places. 5 at some, so it's coming the other way. Go get it. Go get the Raiders. I know that Jimmy's in concussion protocol. That's okay. I don't think it matters if Jimmy plays. All that matters is that Brandon Staley is still coaching the Los Angeles Chargers. That's all that really matters. And that he does not win games by double digits, and he does not know how to put teams away, and he makes some of the dumbest decisions of all time. And it's one of the only games this year where Josh McDaniels will not be at a significant coaching disadvantage. One of the only games. It's a division game. It's always played tough. It's another one like the Jags where I just pressed the button and wanted to cry. I don't want to bet the Raiders any more than you do. Okay? I think the Chargers should be the much better football team. They just should be. But the fact is, they never cover this line. I'm not here to bet with my heart. I'm here to make money. So let's print some money and just take a bad number. And if you don't want to watch, don't watch. But cash the ticket when you're done. Okay? We got another one of those coming up. We got a lot of those coming up this week. We got the Dallas Cowboys hosting the New England Patriots. The line is 7. Now, of course, the Patriots coming off a victory against the Jets. Dallas coming off America's collapse that we all saw. And so, naturally, everyone is betting the Patriots. Slow down. This is the NFL. It's 1 week, guys. You cannot overreact to 1 week of football or you'll never win betting this league. And that's literally all I've been trying to say about these other games. The fact of the matter is, for a lot of reasons, the Dallas Cowboys make sense here. Okay? That being said, I think the bets in this game are either you tease both sides, Dallas to 1, New England to 13, and you try to hit the middle, or you probably just don't touch this football game. And the reason why is the Dallas Cowboys can't stop the run. They can't stop the run. If you think I'm wrong, watch the Arizona game. If you think I'm wrong, watch the first drive of Saquon Barkley in the Giants opener Sunday night, week 1, before the blowout, where he ran all over them. Okay? The Dallas Cowboys have a real problem stopping the run. That's the only thing the New England Patriots do well. Okay? The Dallas Cowboys also have significant injuries on the offensive line, and Bill Belichick schemes pressure well. Dak gets flustered, he turns the ball over. Okay? So everything I'm saying right now, you're saying, well, they should be betting New England. You should be betting New England, right? Yeah, you trust Mac Jones on the road? Because I don't. And I think the number's too big. I got it. And I understand why you think there'd be value in New England. And I'm not really even saying there's not. I don't trust it. I just don't trust it. I think there's better bets this week. So I like the teases like I liked last week. But quite frankly, I think I just like the avoid. There's also a significant chance here that Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys are overlooking this game. They roll in to San Jose to play the 49ers next week. Okay? That is by far their biggest arch rival, not in the division of the last 25 years. They've had no success against Kyle Shanahan in recent memory, and I guarantee you they are overlooking this football game. Now, they can still overlook this football game and win. They really can. That's the problem. Because New England's not anything impressive, guys. They're just not. So I don't like this. As of right now, I'm not betting this game. I might be teasing this game depending on where the line goes. I guess the bet that I like the most is the under 49, but even then, Dallas can score on defense, and so can New England. Walk away. There's just better games to bet. Walk away. Of the team I was just talking about over in San Francisco, they host the Arizona Cardinals this week, and they're favored by 14. And unlike Dallas, I guarantee you the Cardinals aren't running all over San Francisco. But 14 in a division game is insane. That's crazy. Don't touch this game. Don't tease to 8, although you're going to be tempted. Let's wait. Let's see if we can get any line movement either way. If you were going to take anything here, I think it's Arizona plus 20. But yeah. I like the under 50 on a teaser. That helps you. The thing I like in this game is San Francisco is your survivor pick this week. You can take the Eagles if you want. I guess that would be the number 2, but I don't trust that the Eagles are for sure going to beat the Commanders because they managed to choke that game a lot. And I know for certain the San Francisco 49ers are not losing to the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals just played their Super Bowl last week, okay? And they played it at home, not on the road. And the Niners have had 3 extra days to prepare for this game. And unlike Dallas, the Niners are relatively healthy right now. And everything lines up for the Cardinals to just get smashed. So they're the only team I have ranked with over a 90% win chance this week in the Niners. There's too many close games this week. All these spreads are close for the most part. I think here you're taking San Francisco. That's my survivor pick of the week. Of course, if you haven't taken Kansas City, you could do that, but we took them last week. San Francisco 49ers, sometimes you take bad teams early to hold on to good teams late. That's what we're doing, and this is a week that we absolutely need them as a survivor pick. Now, the team I just mentioned, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going out to New York. They're going to go hang out with Zach Wilson and the Jets. And the line opened at 10. Right now it's at 9.5. Kansas City does not cover double-digit spreads. And I get it. They smoked the Bears last week and covered a double-digit spread in Arrowhead against the high school defense. This is the Jets. Say what you want. They can still play defense. Zach Wilson might be terrible, but they can still play defense. Do you remember when Kansas City went on the road to Jacksonville 2 weeks ago and failed and struggled to score points? Because I do. I may hate it, but the bet is Jets plus 10. It is. And you can tease down to 4, and you can tease over to 16 if you want and try to middle it, and you're probably safe doing that. But Chiefs minus 10 or minus 9.5, they just historically don't cover this number. Now, do I think they will? I like the Chiefs this week, and I think they got a lot of things right in that game against Chicago, and I think Kelsey's clearly healthy. My question is Mahomes? Because he missed a few plays, and he's got a banged-up ankle, and we don't know what the weather's going to look like in this game yet. There's a lot of questions, and there's a lot of people out betting the Chiefs minus 10 because Zach Wilson sucks. Zach Wilson sucks. And you know what? Zach Wilson does suck. But I don't think that's enough to bet this game. So let's wait for a weather report. Let's wait for a Mahomes report. Right now, I've done nothing. But my leans would be Chiefs minus 4, Jets plus 16, and maybe the under, depending on the weather, at 48.5. I don't think you could do anything else with this right now. And if you're out laying the Chiefs minus 10 or 9.5, I think you've got a lot of faith in just how bad Zach Wilson is, because I don't even think the Chiefs necessarily have a good enough secondary to capitalize on how bad Zach Wilson is. All right. The New York Football Giants are going to be at home as well, and they're going to be hosting the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. And I'm just trying to figure out what in the world we've got going on here, because the line is -1 for Seattle. And that line just seems weird to me. Seattle beat up on Detroit after they lost Amon-Ra St. Brown and a few other players that game. Seattle beat up on the Red Rifle and Andy Dalton. Seattle got torched by the Rams. What has Seattle done that says they're great? The Giants had a huge second half comeback against the Cardinals, got a lot right. Played a closer game against the 49ers than people thought. And here we are. So, I don't like anything about this game really either. I just think it's a game that I'm going to spectate and watch. I don't like Seattle -1 here. I don't like the Giants +1 here. I don't know what to do with this game. So I'm just going to pass. Over 47. Again, what's the weather going to be like in New York? Nope. That's a hard pass for me. So that'll do it for the weekly wrap-up here of lines. It's a tough week. I'm certainly not going to lie to you. But I've got some ideas, and we're going to run you back through a few of them right here. You've got Green Bay teased up through a touchdown. I think that's a good idea. Jacksonville -3 internationally in London against Desmond Ridder, who's bad. Lock it in. Miami Dolphins against the Bills in a spot that the Bills let down a lot. Tease them to 8.5. Don't worry about the 70. I don't think they let down that much this week. Minnesota, Carolina is probably a hard avoid. The Chicago Bears are really, really bad. So are the Denver Broncos. Don't bet this game at 3.5, and don't tease anyone. Cleveland -2.5. I think you can lock that in because the Ravens are just ravaged with injuries. Houston +3 against the inept offense of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Until Kenny Pickett can show us anything, they should certainly not be favored on the road. You've got the Indianapolis Colts hosting the Rams, and I think that Sean McVay and Matt Stafford do enough to get this done. You've got the New Orleans Saints. I don't really care who the quarterback is. I think they're the best defense Tampa's seen all year. Lock it in. You've got the Philadelphia Eagles over the Commanders on an inflated line that I just don't like. If I'm doing anything, I'm teasing the Commanders right now and getting over 2 touchdowns. I've got the Tennessee Titans at home as a dog to the Bengals, and Mike Vrabel covers here too much to ignore. You just tease them to 8.5 and close your eyes. You've got the Las Vegas Raiders going to the Chargers, where the Chargers are getting 6 points. 6 points is just way too many for a division game with Brandon Staley as a head coach. I don't like it any more than you do, but value is value. Bet the Raiders. You've got Dallas and New England in a game that I just don't know what to do with because there are so many questions about the Dallas Cowboys right now. You can tease both sides. For now, I'm going to avoid. You got the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Arizona Cardinals, and what should absolutely be your survivor pick of the week. But I can't bet this game because that line is just huge in division rivalry. You've got the Jets and the Chiefs, and I got to be honest, with a gun to my head, I like the Jets here. You should be able to tease them pretty comfortably. You could also tease KC and try to middle it. Might want to look at the weather first. It is New York after all. Just saying. You've got the Seahawks and the Giants, and I don't see a damn thing I like here whatsoever. So that's basically going to be your rundown for the Printing Money podcast this week, guys. It was kind of a short one. These games are really close, so take whatever small value you can get. I will be putting out college football picks for this Saturday. We had a huge, epic week of college football last week. You'll see that here as we close the show with a nice little screenshot of all of our picks and winners from week 3. We had a good week in terms of picks. I did not have a great week in terms of the lines and the way I put them together, unfortunately. Some of you probably had a better one. We were still winning, but we weren't printing as much as we should have been when you see how many winners we have on the left side of the screen. It happens. Week 3 was a little rough. Let's bounce back this week. Check out all my content. You can find us everywhere at Printing Money Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Travis Cochran. You have an excellent week. And remember, sports betting is not just a game, it's an art.
Gotta aim for the top like, hello, yeah, I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Blowing the smoke, but I know when the dust settles that I'm in my element. It's evident that there's levels to the game.